La-la-dee-la-da-da.
Welcome to day 3 of the 3 steps to cultivate more love event. I want to call it challenge, but I'm like,
It's not really a challenge.
This is an event. This is not a challenge. Super excited to have you here today. Yesterday was a big day. If you loved yesterday, let me see you drop a heart. Now, I'm going to let you...
Because it's a love event?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can see now. Drop a heart if you loved yesterday. So now, I want to tell you something. Today is going to be a much, much bigger day. Okay? So if you thought that yesterday was good, just wait to what we have in store for you here today.
We have a repeat guest that we have had before, but not in an event like this. So this will be very exciting. And I remember the last time we had this guest, your all's minds were blown to pieces. Like when you try to open a Nerds container and you jerk it and they just fly everywhere. That's what happened to your mind the last time we had this guest.
Yeah.
On Espresso with Aaron and Sri.
So, today we're going to use a bigger portion of the time to really just give you so much value. And this guest is going to just blow your minds. Real quick, before we get to that, we're going to do a quick recap. Okay. In the case that you need a refresher, or perhaps today's your first day joining us, that could be it too. If so, welcome. So now, step 1 with regards to cultivating more love is creating connection. Okay. And what we learned in day 1 is that, our society and we in general are disconnected. And even if you are more connected in your life, there is, another layer that can always help you to create more connection.
Do any of you guys remember that game? I think it's actually called Connects. Connects, where you like move one piece and then it moves all the rest of the pieces. This is what happens too with like connection. And I was just thinking about it because what we do, each of us, affects something else in the future. So every decision we make does not only affect us, somehow it affects the future. So if, just as an example, like you move your piece, you're moving your piece throughout life in the game of life. I'm a piece, just like, in Monopoly, like they have a little car and then they have the thimble and all that stuff. We're pieces, but we have choices. So as we move along, the choices we make affect other people. You buy a property, somebody else now can't buy that property, so it affects them. If somebody lands on that property, it affects us. They pay us a rent. Like the decisions we make affect everything. And so it's cool to think about that on a bigger scale. Just like the connects. I don't want to call it a game. It's like a toy. You move one piece and the rest of the pieces move. We're all connected, whether we want to be or not, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, somehow, some way, we are all connected. And so when we're intentional and aware of how we are connected or disconnected, we can not only improve the quality of our own lives and the happiness in our own lives, but also the quality of and the happiness in other people's lives. How cool is that?
Yeah. So connection is step 1. Yesterday, we went over step number 2, and that is awareness. Awareness with regards to you, awareness with regards to others, and how to communicate with a higher level of awareness so that you can bring more peace into your home, your workplace, within yourself, or, whatever other roles you play in your life, because that helps us to deepen our connection even more with others. And it allows us to create a higher level of influence so that you can experience more love, not just towards others, but also within your day. Imagine going throughout your day, every single day, just facing resistance, right? Like being in a mode of love and being in a mode of resistance does not go hand in hand. right? So the more influential you become in whatever roles you play in your life, the less resistance you have towards a person, a thing, a task, a whatever it may be, and the more things flow together.
Okay. You're talking about like the more responsibility you own, the more you understand how powerful you are, but also how captive you can make yourself be if you don't recognize that power or own that responsibility.
Yeah, and it's going to save you more time, more energy. It's going to elevate your energy so that you can give more. For example, let's say you want to tell your kid, like, would you be willing to help me to pick up the trash? And, they're just like playing on their video games, completely disconnected. No, right? And then you get really irritated because, maybe you guys had a pact and they're not following through with their word, right? So then, trust level goes down. There is a disconnect. And then, depending also on how aware you are with how you're communicating towards them, this can lead to a conflict, which means that neither you nor them are experiencing love in the moment. So the more time and energy you have to, like be on the same page with others, the more you're actually able to experience that feeling.
I have a really genuine, deep question that I just thought about, and I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Okay. I'm wondering if there is a such thing as disconnection. Like we use this word, I just used it, Sarit just used it, where we're disconnected. But if we're disconnected from what? Are we just connected to something else? So if I'm disconnected from you, am I potentially just connected to something else in a greater capacity? And so you're feeling like I'm just disconnected from you, right? So like if the way that I choose to use my time, if I'm choosing to be in a certain place, I'm choosing to not be in another place. So if I'm choosing to connect to one thing, am I choosing to disconnect from another thing? I don't know. This is just a legitimate thought that went through my mind, and I thought it was powerful to consider.
So here's the deal. When you are disconnected
from what?
From that thing so when you are connected to the other thing, you're disconnected from love.
But what's the other thing?
Well, it all depends on the circumstance. Okay, so food for thought. But every time we're disconnected, we're actually disconnected from experiencing more love and giving more love. Okay,
but we could be connected to something else.
Well, of course, and right? That can be anger, that can be frustration. Normally, it is the opposites of that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so the reason the word disconnected exists is because there is a real definition to it. But I was just thinking, are we ever just fully disconnected? I don't think so.
Maybe we can ask today's guest that question.
Yeah, that will be good. I think that we're always connected to something. It's just what is that something and how productive is it, or how helpful is it, or is it, hurtful?
Yeah. So today is a much bigger day, and we have an incredible guest. Some of you have seen or heard, and like Erin said, you absolutely loved. And yes, I do want to ask her that question.
Does anybody have any guesses who our guest is today?
So why don't we just bring her on? By the way, she's a champion.
I'm shamelessly teasing.
Last night she texted me, just so you guys know, she's got COVID and she's still choosing to join us today. So I mean, talk about generosity.
But don't worry, COVID's not going to go through the computer screen. You're fine.
No masks are needed. So you guys, let me see you drop 4 hearts in the chat as we bring our very dear friend, Alejandra Cristofulli, aka the Baller Coach. Just so you guys know, Alejandra is an award-winning master coach and global speaker who helps her clients and the community to coach to high performance through her healing method. And today we're going to be talking about step number 3 to cultivating more love, which is healing. And Alejandra, you are the expert in that area. Look at all this love that you're getting in the chat. Yay.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Love you all so much. There's my little
Okay, so listen, Alejandra, we're all about like authenticity. So I want you to tell this crew, like, so that they can see how committed you are to helping them and to adding value. Where are you plugging in from today? And like, what are all the hurdles that you've experienced to just join us today?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was in Dallas for an event last weekend and was supposed to spend, well, I was at this event. My sister lives in Austin. So I was like, oh, it's perfect. I'll go to the event. Then I'll go to Austin and hang out with my sister. Well, my sister had COVID. We did not know at the time. And of course, we're all hugging and kiss, that's my sister. I love her. Well, of course, we're going to hug and kiss. And, just, I haven't seen her in a few months. So the next day she started feeling bad. And then I started feeling bad. And so I was supposed to leave Wednesday, but lo and behold, I'm still in Austin nursing my COVIDness, but it's not that bad. It's like a bad cold. And I was like, I'm sorry, y'all, if I've got my like tissue.
We've all been there. We've been there.
But I really just was like, okay, I wanted to support and share, like, what better way to get better than to experience and express love and talk about love. So let's do it. We're loving.
Sometimes the way to healing somebody else is, or to healing yourself is to help somebody else.
Exactly. Yes. Love that.
That was a yes with like 4 A's. I'm just saying in all caps with a few exclamation marks.
Exactly.
Hey, look at all this love that you're getting.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. What an amazing group you've got here. Love y'all. Yeah. Beautiful. I'm excited to be here.
So, I mean, I had a question for you, but I guess Erin is provoking thoughts. So we'd love your 2 cents with regards to, you probably heard us when you were in the back room.
Okay, let me repeat. I keep thinking about it and I'm like, no, there's disconnection. There's connection. It's just that what are we connected to or disconnected from? Okay, so your thoughts though on that, like,
yeah,
are we ever completely disconnected from everything?
No. So you're on to something in that, like, if you're disconnected from one thing, then you are connected to another one. It's almost like it's a little bit, disconnection is more of an experience that happens, just like connection is an experience that happens. And so experiences are usually attached to something or someone. So if you are disconnected in one place, then yes, you are more connected somewhere else. And it's just that experience of, what are you more committed to wanting to be connected to?
So like when one spouse is sitting on the couch scrolling through TikTok and the other spouse is feeling neglected, they say,
Yes.
we are disconnected. And they could be like, no, I'm just more connected to my TikTok.
Right, to the TikTok at the moment. So your experience might be disconnection from me, but I'm connected over here with this thing. So exactly, it's that. And oftentimes, especially in relationships, we're going to be having two different experiences most of the time because of our own interpretation and how we view things, and where, again, we're committed to things. So, and that's where a lot of upset, miscommunication,
Fights.
drama, conflict comes from, because the perception of connection, disconnection is happening. And we set this kind of expectation that someone should be as connected as we are, have the same, like, desires, wants, views, again, perceptions that we do. And if not, then again, that's where then the drama, the conflict kind of comes in, and there's no love in that then. And so then the experience of disconnection.
We were talking about that very thing yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
In experiences. So a lot of miscommunications are so innocent too. They begin very innocent. Yeah. Like nobody wakes up being like, who can I fuck up today? Like, I believe like humans are good people, by nature, generally speaking. And so I think that a lot of miscommunication is not intentionally harmful. It's just that the interpretation isn't clearly communicated from one side to the other.
So and I love that we're talking about this because I feel like from connection, like you can't have great communication without having connection. So connection, step one, communication, step two,
Oh.
and healing happens in between that kind of thing. So the biggest disconnect in communication happens because we are trying to be heard, understood, gotten by the other person. Like they should hear us, get us, understand us. And at the end of the day, like the other person can't. Like they literally just cannot hear you, understand you, get you even. And I know I'm being bold by saying this, but
Be
this
bold. Be
okay.
bold.
This
Yes.
this
We know how to take it in the
yeah,
ES Army.
this is the cause of miscommunication and then hence also disconnection because we're having this expectation of like, I'm trying to tell you how I feel. And they're like, okay, great, I hear you, but I don't necessarily get it, or I have these feelings or views. Have you ever noticed like when you're communicating and it's like this back and forth and it's like, yeah, but, yeah, but, or like it feels like one person is right and the other person is wrong. And the more you try and be heard, understood, the less you're going to be heard and understood because they just don't have the same perceptions that you do. I often use the analogy of like, have you ever somebody else's, ooh, bless you.
Thank you.
Have you ever put somebody else's glasses on? What happens?
It's blurry.
Yeah, you can't see through them. It's like blurry vision, it's not clear, but that's what we're essentially doing in communication when we're trying to get the other person to understand us, is we're basically saying, "Here, put on my glasses so that you can see what I see." And it's like, "I can't see through these." That's what causes a lot of conflict and drama and this like, "But just hear me." And it's like, "I can't."
Okay, I want to repeat what you said to see if I get it right. You
Okay.
said the more you it was very powerful. The more you try to be heard and be understood, the less you hear and understand.
Yep. The less you
Mm.
are being heard or understood.
So good. So good. And that creates what we call a victim mentality,
Yes.
right? And when you are in this victim mode, by the way, like most times when we are in victim mode, we're not even aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay. We are like, I would even call it dangerous because hurt people hurt people. And that's where healing comes into play.
Yeah.
Alejandra, I share all of this with you because recently we've been on, this journey where we're literally walking through an experience where we're walking through all these steps, and it's really profound. And I shared this with you when we talked on Sunday that this experience that we're inviting you guys to, like, this is not even something that we created. It's just something that is endorsed, the right word, like we love it,
Yeah,
and
just
we want
highly
to share it
recommend.
with you guys. And because we do not realize how people that we love, we could be hurting like over and over and over again, not even realizing that we're hurting them. So the question is how do we start to, get away from that? And that's where healing comes into play. And I know that you're an expert in that. So
Can I ask one more thing on this before we go forward?
Yeah.
Or one thought that I had that's very powerful. If you want to be heard and be understood, don't be about you in the conversation. Like if you are hearing and you are understanding, and Alejandra, tell me if you agree or disagree. If you are hearing and you are understanding and you are genuinely putting yourself in the other person's shoes and being curious as to what their experience is and what their interpretation is, you can see clearer how they may see what you are not seeing about yourself, and vice versa. The more you will be heard and understood when you don't make it about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the key things to stepping out of that victim mode, like you were talking about, and really not just that, but also it begins the healing when you start to get curious because you're taking a paused moment to go, wait a minute, my interpretation of what's going on or how I'm viewing or thinking things are happening right now maybe isn't the truth. And if I could take that pause moment and then ask a question for clarity instead of jumping in with, well, let me tell you versus let me ask for clarity first, that's huge. And so the communication can look very different. Like, if someone says something and you're like, "No, no, that's not what I meant." And you, like, instantly go into, like, defense mode of like, "No, that's not what I meant. I meant to say da 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 da." And then the other person is like, "Well, no, I was just saying that you should do da 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 da." And then it's like, "No, but no, I was actually," and there's that drama, that conflict, and we're both just trying to get our view across to each other in that whole, like, "I just want you to understand me." But to just take that pause and then switch it from the no, that's not what I was saying to, well, what did you hear me share? Or what is it that you are actually intending by that comment? What's your intention with saying that? Just to gain clarity, so I'm clear on what you're saying. What is it that you actually mean by blah, 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 blah? And putting questions to things. Ugh, it takes you out of the victim mode, and it also, stops you from projecting the other person as the villain.
Yes.
In relationships, we play these roles, victim, villain, hero, and if you feel victimized, you will automatically cast the other person as the villain in your
And
story.
villain hero.
Wow.
I love it.
Sometimes I ask you, I say, can you ask me that in a different way? Or can you say that in a different way? Because sometimes we understand different languages,
Yeah.
right? So even that is like, hey, I'm not sure I'm understanding. Can you say that in a different way? Like rather than attacking, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to ask it in more of like an open-ended question, so something to support, the two of you, and because the "can you say it" is more of like somebody could say like, "No, that's can't don't you get it?" Like, not that you would,
Sure.
but, it could happen to
Yeah.
ask
Yeah. Yeah.
one question instead.
Yeah.
Because that what is open-ended and it allows the other person to start thinking about, like, getting present and like, "Wait a minute, what did I just say?" So
Yeah.
for
Great.
both people, it starts to like, let's ground and make sure that we're being really present and clear on what we're saying.
I love it. Great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about healing, and that's where healing comes into place, right? Like instead of you are the villain, like how can I see you from a different experience and how I can experience things differently, because your experience is being manifested to everything else in your life. So my first question to you is, what is healing in the first place? Like how would you define it?
Hmm. Healing is where you are fully like taking ownership. Healing and ownership go very much so hand in hand, where you are taking ownership of yourself, the experiences that you're going through, the challenges, the views, the thoughts, all the things that have basically happened in your life to where there's this beautiful place of ownership. I shared this in the last talk we had, but like what you don't own owns you.
Mhm.
Oh,
So I don't know if I shared this analogy, but like I have this cigarette burn on my arm. Probably can't see it. Yeah, no. Anyhow, it's a cigarette burn from a high school boyfriend who put a cigarette out on my arm. And when it first happened, it was this big gaping open wound, so no healing, right? And if I hit it, smacked it, or poked it, it hurt like
Oh, yeah.
right? If someone else hit it, smacked it, or poked it, it hurt really bad. But healing layer by layer by layer, it got to the point where now it's a scar. So it's still there. It's not like it's gone away. It's there. But if I hit it, smack it, poke it, there's no pain. If someone else hits it, smacks it, or pokes it, there's no pain. So that's what healing is to me. It's like, yes, I went through experiences in my life where, my mom would say the term estúpida cabra de mi chica. Spanish, it's slang, it doesn't really translate into English, but if you tried to, it would mean stupid piece of shit. And so I
what
took
is
that
it? What is it? What is it?
the Spanish version or what the
Yeah. What is it?
estúpida cabra de mi chica.
Ooh. Ta, 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 ta.
I heard stupida and chica.
Cabra de mi chica.
Okay.
Where's Coach Danny? She's from
Which
Venezuela. She speaks
Oh,
Spanish.
beautiful. So if you again were to loosely translate it, it would mean stupid piece of shit. So I like took that on as a truth in my life, and it owned me for
Mm.
most of my life. But through healing, like the layers that I was taught, layer by layer by layer of healing, it got to the point where like that hasn't gone away. It's still there, but it no longer causes me pain. Like I never would have come on alive. I never would have spoken on stage. I was deathly afraid that people would, if I like actually got on stage or spoke live with people, that they would see how stupid I was or what a piece of shit I was, kind of thing. And so before the healing, I would never have done that.
Wow.
But now it's like, okay, that was a part of my life, and so like moving on kind of thing is what it feels like. So to answer your question long-windedly, that's what healing is to me.
It's like, I mean, just like when, even if you were to touch your wound, it hurts, right?
Yeah.
When it's still fresh. So it's like, it doesn't matter if it's somebody else or if it's you getting on stage is like, it's a fear of the pain you will experience when you touch, poke, or scratch or bump the wound.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
I
great.
love that. I mean, that story was beautiful because it's also an amazing analogy, right? Because
Yeah.
when you heal, not just like your skin or like, your muscles, but like internally in your spirit, the same thing happens, right? Like you can, trigger the same sensation when it's not healed. Others can trigger the same sensation. And unless there is healing, it's always going to, like, it's going to take you back to that cigarette wound, whether we're aware of it or not. And then we're literally going to puke it on to others. I call it puking on another person's brain. It's just like,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And I mean, if we connect this back to the communication we were talking about, like I could be talking with my husband and he could say something like, this has been one that he's said before, like, I don't think that word means what you think it means. Like if I said something and he's said, well, I don't think that word means what you think it means. If there wasn't healing, I would have been instantly like, oh, what? Excuse me? I don't think so. And let me pull out the dictionary and show you, you know, or I would have been like super pissed at him and be like, whatever. And then like cut him off and not talk to him for 2 days. You know what I mean? But instead, now with the healing, there's like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. I thought it means this. Now I'm actually curious. What does it mean? And I'll go, look at the definition kind of thing. but it would have totally broken communication had healing not have happened. And if it broke communication because healing didn't happen, then there would have been a disconnection.
And what would that do? Like, knowing yours and your husband's relationship, like, what would be the implications of that?
Well, I think it comes back to love, period. There wouldn't be an exchange or an experience of love because there would have been anger towards him. And that anger would have almost been like a projection of him being like in some way a physical manifestation of my mom saying those things to me as a small child.
Mhm.
And I would have reacted from some kind of fear response, which is to fight, to flee, or to freeze.
Mm.
And any one of those things, like fight would have been me being like, "Oh, heck no, and we would have gotten into an argument at that point, and the argument could have ensued and gotten ugly. Or if I was going to flee, that would have been like okay, that hurt my feelings, but I wouldn't say anything. I would just go to the bathroom and cry. And then I'd be really upset with him and not talk to him for who knows. And he'd be like, "What's wrong? Like, you haven't talked to me and like all day. Like, did I do something? What's going on?" And then I would have been like, "Nope, nope, I'm good. I'm fine. It's fine." And not say anything. Or
Who's played that game? Who's played that game before? Either of those games. I have played all of those games, and looking back, recognizing, I'm like, oh gosh, it
yeah.
makes sense.
The freeze would be more of like, I I don't even know what to say to you. Like, I'm just and you like no voice at all. You're just like completely shut down in that moment. Yeah.
Who's played that game? One of those games within the last week. This is
So,
not. This is. I want to say first, like this is not to shame. This is to bring awareness and recognition and help you learn about you. So you don't have to answer that in the comments, but I just want you to think about, have I been in that space recently? Maybe there's something in me that I would benefit by healing from.
so um, ES Army, I have a question for you guys, and then I also have a question for you, Alejandra. And considering that, Alejandra, my question to you is, from your experience and also your expertise, would you say then that healing is a journey or a destination? And for you guys in the chat, in your notebooks, and feel free to drop it here. Let's get real for a second. If there was an emotion that was the predominant emotion that you feel throughout the day, like you're like, this is where I spend most of my day with, and this emotion, what would that emotion be?
That's a good question.
Create awareness around that. And yeah, Alejandra, would love to know, like, is it a journey or is it a destination then?
Great question. It's a journey. Because notice the language. Healing. The ing part is like that continuation of the layer by layer by layer. I don't know that we actually ever do reach a point of being healed. Um, at least emotionally, spiritually, mentally, because we are designed to be in direct relationship with God, there's like always this next level of spiritual awakening or spiritual development or spiritual growth as a human being. And so there's always a new level to reach. And what I find is that through healing, you reach a new level in yourself, in your life, and you can kind of be there for a while and enjoy the spoils of that place that you've gotten to, but eventually you're going to be called to another level where there's going to be more healing that has to happen, and then you do the healing and boop, your new level, but then you up level again, and then there's healing that needs to be there. What I love about this work that I do, that 180 method that I teach, is that it's not like another self-help tool you need. you already know how to do the healing, and it's just applying that same thing to the level at which you're at, not like, "Oh gosh, here I am again, and I have to learn something new," kind of thing. It's the same. So, it's a journey.
Okay, as you're saying that, so I'm thinking as we went into the Hardcore Leadership Program that we're in, we went into it already having healed a lot of different things,
Yeah.
or already having, worked on yesterday we talked about different personality types and how there's, a helpful, beneficial side of each personality, but then there's also a side of that personality that is a little darker and not as fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's there's a lot of work that both Sri and I have done on the downside of our personalities that, walking around throughout society, I can see how much brighter it's made my life to do that kind of work. And it is healing, it's all healing. And even joining this leadership program that we're in, I was like, okay, I don't know what next level there is for me. I know I'm not perfect. I know I can always be better. So, let's see and find out where that is. Where is that next cut? Where is that next level? And so you're 100% right. I had no idea I watched, we're in it with a group of people, 140 something people.
Yeah.
And you can see the people who have not intentionally done as much of the healing, and some of the people who have done a little bit more healing. But every person, no matter what, has a next level, has a
Yep.
next cut. And it's like you don't know until somebody else can step in and potentially expose to you where your next level could be.
Yes.
And it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like each new level you play a bigger game in
Yeah.
life.
So I want to ask you, based off of that, is because you are a performance coach, what correlation do you see between healing and, like helping your client, take themselves to the next level?
What correlation between healing and the next level?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the thing that comes up is purpose.
Mm.
Um, and I don't mean just like any purpose, I mean like divine purpose. Like we all have a divinely guided purpose. And I feel like that's that correlation between the healing and the up leveling is that I was saying it's almost like this tug, this pull of like, okay, I'm feeling that like God's pull or that divine purpose that I'm meant to step into kind of thing. And when you don't answer the call, then there needs to be healing at that place because you're staying stagnant, stuck, you know? But if you answer the call, there also still needs to it's like either way, there still needs to be healing. It's just a much better journey if you're answering the call to step forward. So
What if
it's
you can't hear your phone ring because it's on silent?
exactly. That just means that there is, again, a level of healing that needs to be done in order to be able to clear out the noise so that you can clearly hear and see what you're being called to. I hear that all the time too, by the way, like either two things. Either I know I'm stuck, but I don't know why I'm stuck, right?
Uh-huh.
Or um I don't know why, like, they know that they're kinda getting to a place of being stuck kind of thing. So it's yeah, that stuckness.
So good. So good.
So I would love to know from you guys, like in terms of purpose, like not purpose like I want to run a marathon,
Yeah,
but like purpose in like bigger than yourself
Something that
purpose.
drives you.
Um, are you unable to hear the phone ring? Are you hearing the phone ring but resistant to answering the call? Or have you answered the call, but you don't know what the next level is? Is that a good?
Or you don't know how to play the next level.
Right.
Yeah. Where are you guys at?
So what I'm hearing you say, this is so good, by the way, is that healing gives you vision.
Yes.
When there is no purpose, there is no vision, right? And without vision, without purpose, we get distracted by all of these things. We get held captive by the devil, right? So like, I'm as I'm hearing you say all of this, like I immediately think about Jesus, who was the ultimate healer. Now, if you think about Jesus, he was an incredible visionary, you guys. His legacy has outlived him by 3,000 years. Before the internet, all he had was 12 disciples. So now I share this with you because Jesus was also an incredible leader. And that's what leadership is all about. It's not about, oh, like I have this like massive company, or like, so many people come to me. It's like, no, are you living your life on purpose, and are you pursuing your purpose? And are you pursuing that next cut in your purpose? Because I'm speaking for myself right now, right? Like, Erin and I are the type of people who are always driven to be a better version of ourselves, right? And it's like, I remember when we joined the program, they asked us like, why did you choose to join it? And like our thing was like, well, because we don't know what we don't know. That's literally like what I said. And like knowing what I know now, it's because I knew that I wanted to play a bigger game, but I didn't know what it looked like because I've never been there. So when you peel another layer, you can now see things from a higher level more clearly. Yeah. I mean, Jesus is the ultimate example, because the dude has literally like sacrificed his life and was put on the cross because he had a purpose that was so much bigger than who he was. Yes. So leaders are the people who go through like an intentional healing experience, and by design, they also help to heal others.
Exactly.
And the purpose, like being so large you're willing to die for it.
Martin,
you can't not be successful. Like
exactly.
It's gonna happen.
Right. Which is another reason why it's so important you get out of your own way, which comes back to that healing part, because it's very selfish to not have the healing so that you are fulfilling your purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. This is so good. So, okay, I want to know, how does healing help to improve our relationship with with ourselves and with others?
Perfect. I'm glad you asked this, because it kind of comes back to connection, if I can talk about that to answer your question, because connection comes from somewhere. It's not just like, oh, I feel this connection with myself, or, like it actually stems from a part of our brain, which is called the amygdala. So the amygdala is the site of emotional memory, it's the site of emotional learning, and it's an emotional memory bank. And it asks one critical question of our human survival, which is, am I safe?
Mhm.
And so when we don't feel safe, we get triggered or we get hijacked. And then it's like we're not ourself at that point. We're in a fear response and we're just trying to find some sense of safety at that point. And so when all of that is happening, disconnection happens with ourself.
So good.
Right? And so that "am I safe" question comes back to those things we were talking about needing healing. There's experiences that we're going through in life that, didn't get to be fully expressed let me just share a super simple example. So, kid at the grocery store, and you know how they put the candy at the checkout line on purpose, right? And so kid's like, "Of course, mom, can I have one?" And she's like, "No, no, you're gonna spoil your dinner." And he starts to get really upset, or she gets really upset and starts crying, understandably, logically. They're emotional and they're expressing their emotions because they want the candy and they're being told no. But what does mom do? Mom's in the middle of the grocery store and is like, "Stop it. Don't do that." So two things happen. One is that there's this lesson being programmed of like, what you're feeling isn't okay, and you shouldn't express it. And number two is, if you do express, there's going to be some kind of connection to punishment. If
Mm.
you're going to get this. And so it's like being programmed in our brain, those two things. But because emotions have to go somewhere, have y'all ever noticed that, like, no one, most of the time in our childhood, when we're laughing or giggling or having fun and we're expressing happy emotions, no one's like, "Stop it. Don't do that." You
Yeah.
know, they're like, "Oh, she's having fun," or, so those
Yeah.
emotions get expressed, which, by the way, y'all, this is why, if you've ever thought about why is it so easy to go to the negative place versus the positive place, this is why. Because you got to express those happy emotions, the negative ones got stored in the amygdala, so they're readily available to be drawn upon, whereas the other ones aren't because they got expressed. Another way to look at this, since I've got COVID and thinking about this virus, like, a virus needs a host, right? And in the host, it thrives, it grows, it's, all happy and does its thing. Outside of the body, it dies.
Nice. Mhm.
So expressed emotions die off, they fall off. Inside, they linger, they fester, they grow, they deepen, they develop. So that brings back to, like, someone could say something and you're right back in the same kind of experience you were at as a child, right at that same place of feeling whatever emotions you were feeling at that time. And it's like you're a 5-year-old in your adult 40-year-old life at that point, and you're hijacked and disconnected and not able to communicate, and no self-love is happening at that point. But
Mhm.
that's where connection all really comes from. So when we're healing, what we're talking about is healing those things stored in the amygdala, knowing how to express in a healthy way to really getting them expressed and released, so that you can be present, you can connect more to that being side of yourself versus the human side that made up all these things, like, I can't express because I'm bad, or, like that, child at the grocery store, and mom's like, "Stop it, don't do that." There's this, like, "Oh, I'm bad if I keep doing this." So it's this thought that's connected to the emotion too.
Mm. So good.
Mhm.
So good. So to wrap this up,
Yeah,
do you then agree or believe that healing is a gateway to more love?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, without healing, it's very hard to have that full love, um, because it's like a block,
Yep.
stops love from happening.
Right. Right. Yeah. 100%. And like the thing about healing is that we, like I said before, and this is what I said about myself, like, we don't know what we don't know. So you don't know how much more you can be healed until you practice an experience that allows you to get healed. And that is exactly why you know we want to invite you to this program that Aaron and I have been on.
I think it would be so good for you too, Alejandra. I think you would love it.
Nice.
I think you would really love it.
Yeah, we can talk more about that. So really, like,
healing helps to create more self-love, and that allows you to create a higher level of awareness, which allows you to create more connection. I believe that, we're all children of God, and because of that, I believe that we are all love. Now, whether or not we are connected with love, whether the state in which we live in is love, has everything to do with how healed we are and how connected are we to our highest power, which requires a higher level of awareness. And this is exactly what this hardcore leadership program is all about. Like we told you guys before, this program is not ours. We simply believe it, and that's why we want to share it with you guys. And Alejandra, I mean, talk about generosity. You've been so generous. And what Alejandra said when we spoke on the phone on Sunday is, she's like, you know what, in order to help your community continue to get better, because you getting better means that, like healing is involved, I'm gonna also throw in a gift to anybody who joins Hardcore Leadership by Saturday. So tell us a little bit about that gift that you'll be giving, and thank you so much for that. And like, how does it help?
I want to say something real quick before we get to the finale of your gift,
Okay.
because if you guys notice, like Sarit and I said, this is not for us. Like, we don't get anything from this, but we stand for freedom, love, peace, connection, and abundance. And we absolutely believe that you all deserve that. And so in the spirit of Valentine's Day, in the spirit of the month of love, which really should be every month, we just want to give. We want to give. It feels good when you give. If you need something in your own life, go give something to somebody else and watch things happen. Like, it fulfills us to know we do everything that we can to help you guys succeed. So our gift, the gift yesterday from Violet Rain and Keely, the gift from Alejandra, you guys, we just want to give you things. So I'm going to put the link to the website and the discount code, that HCL, the leadership program, which really is a emotional intelligence and self-awareness program. They gave us a discount code for you all too. So I'll drop that below while you tell us about your gift.
Beautiful. So yeah, it's this gift is the first week of the communication solution. Yes. So I was talking about communication earlier today, and how from connection, communication can happen. And also healing is in between those two things. So this is an actual formula, you could say, to how to communicate so that healing happens, no drama, no conflict. You can actually apply this in any relationship that you have. This particular freebie is for you and your partner, so to speak, but again, that translates into if you have a team of people in leadership, if you have children and how to communicate with them, a parent, a sibling, like any relationship, this communication solution works. And it's called the communication solution for a reason. So it's the first week of a 5-week series, and you're just going to get so much out of that first week and understanding how to actually create a solid foundation in which to build your communication.
Love that. Oh,
Yeah.
this is so powerful, and this is in so much alignment. Thank you so much for your generosity, and like, thank you for your time and your energy today.
And since, just for logistics, since this is not our program, we don't know when you sign up. So you will need to let us know that you did it. Please be honest. We trust you. You're a good person, so that we can pass on your information to Alejandra so that you can get that gift as well.
Yeah.
There's a link for it. Should we share that now, or do you want to, so that they can get access to the week?
We will share that to everybody who joins by the end of day Saturday.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a quick recap, you guys. For anybody who chooses to join Hardcore Leadership by Saturday,
You know what I was thinking too? Oh, why would we only give it, Aaron and Sreet, you want to give, why would you only give it to the people who join? Because it's a positive reinforcement of you taking a stand for yourself.
yes,
So that answers that question.
yes.
Yeah.
Like when you do things, when you step into your greatness and out of your comfort zone, it's an example living that good things happen when you show up for you.
So for anybody who joins by Saturday, you're going to get the course from Violet Train and Keeley. That is the manifestation course, so that you can become a powerful manifester. By the way, do you notice how all of these things are completely interconnected? And then Alejandra.
It's so good. It's such a perfect package.
Yes. It is called the communication solution. Alejandra is going to throw in the communication solution.
That's so good.
So good.
Yes.
And then Aaron and I are going to be hopping on a live call so that we can hot seat you and whoever is your significant other. This can be your child. You know, this can be your spouse.
Child, not your significant other, a relationship, that you would like
that you
to make
feel
better.
connected to, that you want to create more love and abundance. So this can be with your child, this can be with your spouse, this can be with your mom. You know, this can be with perhaps a coworker. Okay, so live call with EMS.
And we actually partnered with a funding company called Seven Figure Funding, and they have great opportunities that are, there's not a lot of downside to. And so I dropped a link in the chat. If it is something that you want to do, but you maybe need help with funding and you want to go down that route, then there's an option there. And I think that you just fill in your information and then you get to see what options are available to you. And if you want to take one of them, great. And if you don't, great. It's just another opportunity.
Yeah. And just so you know, that program is a 5K value. With that code that we've been given, it is for you. It is $3,700, and should you join by Saturday, you're also going to get all of these bonuses. So insane. We all want to, you know, leaders come together and collaborate in order to bring up other leaders, because we know that one person alone can only go so far.
And it's the ripple.
It's all about the ripple effect. Exactly. You know, it's about creating more healing in this world and creating more love in this world. Like, imagine if everybody in your life, and I'm talking just about your life. I'm not even talking about Russia or the Ukraine, or to, you know, lead with love. What a world we would live in.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Dude, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here. And yeah.
And we're sending you love and healing vibes. And we're actually going to see you in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
So that'll be exciting. You better get better.
Oh, I will be COVID free.
When are you in Austin till?
My flight leaves Saturday, so we'll see.
Got it.
May have to extend it again. We'll see by then.
Well, sending you so much healing vibes. You guys, let's drop some hearts for Alejandra. If you learned something new, if there was value that was added to your life and to your experience today, then let's give it back. Let's pay it forward. Drop some hearts. Thank you. Feel better. Oh, look at all of that.
Thank you. So wonderful. Appreciate y'all.
You guys are great. And to the ES Army, thank you guys for joining us over the last 3 days. We hope that you know, this allowed you to cultivate a little bit more love and a little bit more connection, a little bit more awareness with regards to the possibilities, and also a little bit awareness about more healing. We love you guys. We're always going to do everything that we can in our power to continue to grow you and nurture you and be the soil so that your fruits and your plants and your trees and God damn it, your forests can bloom.
We're not going to be bombarding you with emails for, oh, the doors are closing. You're not going to get any emails. We just, when you guys sign up, whoever is ready, whoever is ready to take that step, just email one of us, Erin at Erin and Sarit, or Sarit at Erin and Sarit. It's very complicated. And let us know that you enrolled so we can, 1, celebrate with you, and 2, support you on your journey, and 3, get you some bonuses.
That's right.
All right,
Okay,
guys.
everybody.
Have a beautiful day.
Bye, everybody.